Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. We're going to be going over my top 25 band rankings for week 2 of the BOA season. And let's just start us off with the full list. You can see risers and fallers here. I think I changed the text on the graphics to make it more readable. Hope you guys appreciate that. But yeah, here's what I've got so far. Let's go to the honorable mentions. My honorable mentions are Byrnes, American Fork, Wando, Dobyns Bennett, and then Bridgeland. Bridgeland moves down as well as American Fork. Bridgeland moves down for me because they lost the Sci-Fair. And overall, they didn't kind of look as impressive as they did last year. And I was kind of expecting them to take a step, considering how new they are, but maybe some growing pains. Maybe they're just easing into the season. We've seen this with some bands like Ronald Reagan in the past, where they get upset in the early season and then they come in, and by the time San Antonio hits, they're one of the cleanest shows in BOA. Wouldn't be surprised if that's the case here. And then with Dobyns Bennett, they were here last week, no comp, nothing else to really talk about. With Wando, they had their invitational this week, and I did see it. I wasn't live, but I have seen the recordings. I enjoy the show. I think it's pretty clean. Visually, I like the direction they're going. I would want them to use kind of the advantages they are setting up for themselves more. For example, their show is very colorful and they have capes. So visually, I would want to see more movements involving capes. So more sudden lefts or rights in forms, or even like the little cape flip that you see from William Mason when they have capes in 23 and 22. I would want to see more of that because they don't really have that in their show built in yet. But I do hear that they're going to set some more movement stuff. They're going to set movement to open up into the opener, right? But overall, great baseline. I would also want to see them use their brass more. The brass and woodwind individual feature moments sound great by themselves, but I want to see more. I want to see more of that, although I think the show's already set. I think it's probably a bit late for that, but oh well. American Fork. I didn't really rant for 5 minutes. I thought I would, but no, probably about 2 minutes. Sorry everybody that doesn't really care about Wando. I'm a Wando alum. A lot of people watching this might know me, might not. What's up? If you're at Wando right now, what's up? Yeah. American Fork, haven't had a comp. Maybe there's, like, when I say no comp, I mean no comp that I know of, no BOA comp. And then when I say like invitationals, that's because I know Wanda has an invitational, but American Fork, I'm not sure. They might have had an invitational, but not that I know of. And then Byrnes, same deal. I do think that Byrnes, Wando, and Dobyns Bennett all have very serious chances to get into this top 25 because, I mean, Byrnes is going to Indy. They're going to be competing head-to-head against Dobyns Bennett. I think Dobyns Bennett is also maybe going, but even if they don't, if they can beat Byrnes and Byrnes does well at Indy, I think Dobyns Bennett is going to be on this list at the end of the season. Then Wando's going to Nats, so we'll see. Going on. To the top 20 or top 25, yeah. I have Castle at 25. They do move down a couple spots. I did want to see some more separation between them and Brownsburg, and I know Brownsburg is a good band in their own right, but I did want to see some more from them. Cedar Ridge, no comps, but they do stay where they are. When I say the two bands that are ahead of them dropped out, I do mean Castle was ahead of them and Bridgeland was ahead of them. Bentonville, no comps, but they do move down from the risers, Sci-Fair, and, well, we'll get to the other one. Sci-Fair, got to talk about it. One BOA Houston over Bridgeland, very impressive. Didn't see it coming. If you follow my socials, I did have them losing in my predictions, but I was wrong. And they also beat the Woodlands in music, which I'm not going to get into whether or not I agree with that, because I don't, but they did beat them. A more qualified judge than me said that Sci-Fair had better music than the Woodlands, based on technique and based on the book. We're going to leave it at that. Leander, no comp. They do move down from M G Johnson and Dripping Springs. We're going to get to the weird stuff and discrepancies between the Austin event and the recent event in Central Texas. I am confused. So, Leander comes close. Leander gets like 9th in prelims. Then they get 6th and almost beat Rouse. Very impressive stuff. But I don't know what to think about that event because we see massive discrepancies, and we're going to get to it, with Dripping Springs and Westlake. So Westlake comes 3rd, and they come 2nd in prelims. So 2nd in prelims, 3rd in finals at the Austin event. But then, a week later, they lose by 1.5 points to Dripping Springs. I am confused, but we're going to go with it. Judging is subjective. We're going to go with a combination of recency bias, if you want to call it that, and what I think. Personally, I do prefer Dripping Springs' show. I think it's more technical. I think there is more opportunity to grow into it as well. So that's just kind of what I think. Pearland comes in 19. I probably should mention Westlake. I do have Westlake dropping after whatever happened. But they're going to drop for me into the 20 spot. I think they were at about 15, want to say, last week. But they're going to drop for me. Pearland didn't do a comp, but they're going to be above Westlake for me. F Johnson. This is another one I have to talk about. This was not on my bingo card. I think I predicted them to finish 7th. They finished 2nd. I was surprised. Call it a video. I was surprised. Came out of nowhere. They won music, which is impressive. And I think this one's a lot more justified than the Sci-Fair over the Woodlands, personally. But that's just kind of where I'm at. They win music. They're close with Dripping Springs. Won by the same amount that they lost by in prelims. I'm very conflicted. I can understand, I think Horn Rank off the top of my head had M&G Johnson above Dripping Springs. I understand that they won in finals. It makes perfect sense to me. I'm just going based on what I prefer. I think the visuals of Dripping Springs are a lot more impressive to me than I think M&G Johnson are. That's just how I feel right now. Obviously, my opinion can be skewed based on how they grow throughout the season. But right now, that's kind of where I'm at. Coppell, this is based on track record. Haven't moved. Well, they have, but they moved, I think. Actually, no, they haven't, have they? But anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. Dripping Springs, already talked about them. They're 2-2 with Westlake, 1-1 with M&G Johnson in their runs this season at BOA comps. This is based on preference. I have them at 16. I can understand. I think in hindsight, I think I probably should have them at 17 or had M&G Johnson up at 17 just to have them next to each other. They're close. I understand that. But right now, that's where I'm at. We're going to go on to 15 through 10. Well, through 11. Rouse, no comps, but I moved them up because they lost to Westlake, but they beat Dripping Springs. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at, right? So I don't know what to make of this. I'm just being honest with you. I have no idea how I could take this because it's so inconsistent. Dripping Springs finishes multiple points behind Westlake and then a week later they finish a point and a bit ahead of them. It really does not make my job here easier to give these grades, because I don't know. I have no idea how Rouse is going to match up, because maybe their scoring was undervalued versus overvalued. It's a shit show. William Mason in 14. Simple. Their show's good. Not going to move them. Vista Ridge, same deal. Cedar Park, I did move them down because of how Reagan performed. I had Reagan. Reagan was a riser for me. No comps for the Woodlands. Ah! Good thing I caught that. I'm going to have to change that. This, I'm assuming it's going to be blurred and it will have text in the post. The Woodlands did have a comp. There's my camera. Yeah, sorry. These graphics take a long time to make. I probably made that and didn't realize that I made a mistake. So, that will be edited. Let's go to Cedar Park. I do have them moving down because I have Reagan rising. Pretty much purely because Reagan always starts slow. This is a consistent thing with Reagan. They always start slow and they always pick it up. So for them to win pretty convincingly in their first comp against pretty good comp, I am okay with rising them. They're going to be in the top 10 for me. Versus Cedar Park, again, they were part of that Austin event. I don't know what to think. The Woodlands did have a comp. They lost music. They were a drop for me. I know I said I don't agree with it, and I don't. Visually, they were great. And they will develop a lot throughout the season. We've seen it in 2022. They took massive steps from their first performance to their last performance. They ended up winning General Effect in San Antonio Finals. In 2023, they got, good scoring in Grand Nats Finals. I know they lost to Blue Springs, which some people liked that decision. Again, not gonna go in depth to that, but yeah, they had a comp. They did prelims. I don't understand why bands are like, yeah, let's do prelims, but then not do finals. I don't get it. You travel to the event. I get it's not a lot of travel. It was in Houston. They're from Houston. Not a lot of travel there. You still have to pay for the buses. Which, if you're not an organizer or you're not in this scene, that's a lot of money. Most likely. I don't know if they had to have used buses. You have to travel with the band. So, I don't know what to make of that. Why are you not just performing in finals? I don't get it. It's wacky for me. It's probably wacky for the kids. I don't understand. But that being said, prelims, we saw some good things, we saw some bad things. They're going to grow. I'm not going to think too much of this, but either way, let's move on. 2. Marcus Reagan. Tarpon, Blue Springs, Broken Arrow. Marcus, I feel like this is more about me underrating them last week than it is about anything that the Woodlands did. I feel like I kind of just snapped into I feel like I just gained common sense and was like, oh yeah, Marcus is good. And they finished above the Woodlands in their comps last year. That's kind of how I thought, and I was like, oh yeah, why is Marcus below the Woodlands? And I never adjusted their... Oh, I have so many mistakes here. Okay, anyway. It'll get edited for the post, don't worry. That 10 is a different font. Disappointing. And the Reagan text is overlapping. Graphic design mistakes. Anyway, Reagan moves up to 9. They win BOA Central Texas. Like I said, they start slow, pick it up late. Already said it. And they lost music both runs. Both runs. Did they really? I mean, I know I made these graphics like 2 weeks ago. Not 2 weeks ago. What am I talking about? I made these graphics like 2 or 3 days ago. So may have forgotten that fact if they lost both runs, but I'm not too worried about it. I mean, this just happens. I remember 2022, Reagan lost to, I think they got second place behind Cedar Ridge, and Cedar Ridge won multiple captions on them. And then when it came to San Antonio, they beat Cedar Ridge by quite a bit. I'm not too worried about the early season runs. I'll just leave it at that. Tarpon, no comps. I'm excited to see Tarpon. Tarpon's so fun. Blue Springs, same deal. Broken Arrow, I have seen them. They're pretty good. Excited to see it in action. That's not on a practice field. And then the top 5 didn't move at all. Carmel did win their Louisville event. They took care of business. They swept. But even then, I'm just kind of thinking, does sweeping BOA Louisville move them ahead of any of those 4 bands for me? No. Because Vandy won a better event, in my opinion. Vandy won a more competitive event, and they swept that. And Avon arguably also won a better, more competitive event. I know that's more controversial, but it's not. Is it really? Is it really? I mean, yes, it is. And then Hebron, they're still going to be in first. I've seen it. Many of you have as well, looking at the views on the league. It's just ridiculous. I can't even, like... It's so ridiculous that is them this early in the season. Anyway, that's probably going to wrap it up for me. Let's go all the way back. I didn't even put my light on. Oh, I'm supposed to have like good lighting, and I didn't even put it on. I mean, to be fair, the camera's in focus, kind of, partially. Anyway, there's the top 25 list. I will be posting predictions probably around tomorrow morning, and then I'll also be posting a miscellaneous video, which you guys are going to have to tune in for probably either tomorrow or Friday as well. That should be a fun one. Haven't seen anybody in the marching band space do a video like that, so should be a good one. I don't know how it's gonna do. Hopefully it does well, but we'll see. And yeah, follow my socials. That'll be it for me.